time you're stealing. Oh, I don't mean to be selfish, 'cause little things got me jealous. Walking slow in quicksand, you're slipping through my hands. You're always there beside me, a work of art I carry.
Aloha mai kako. Welcome to the Philly Asian American Film Festival Talk Story portion with Lizette Flannery and her crew from Tokyo Hula. Hopefully you have seen Tokyo Hula, so you'll be sending us a lot of questions to ask them. If not, just follow along and you'll learn a lot. My name is Leanne Ferrer. I'm the Executive Director of Pacific Islanders in Communications. We're located in Honolulu, Hawaii, but we have been sponsoring PAF for many years now, and we sponsor them so that they can bring you the Pacific Showcase. And I just think it's wonderful that we are sharing our Pacific Islander stories with the East Coast and with Philly specifically. So I am going to start by going around the room and letting everyone introduce themselves and the role they had to play with the film. I'm actually going to start with Anne, who is the translator for today. So Anne, could you give a brief description of what you're going to be doing today?
Oh, sure. Well, for this program, I'm happy to translate Seiko's conversation. Yeah.
Excellent. And then we're going to move on to Lizette Flannery, who is the director and producer of Tokyo Hula.
Aloha mai kako, everyone. Thank you so much for watching Tokyo Hula at the Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival. Super excited to share the film on the East Coast, like Leanne said, in this very interesting time where we've got film festivals online. It's really late there, but it's only 3:30 here in Hawaii. So I'm awake, I'm energetic, and I'm ready for questions.
Yay, thank you, Lizette. And then we'll move to Kyung Lee, who's the editor.
Sound problem, Kyung.
I edited the film. Okay, some words. Can you hear me? No?
Let's move on to Seiko. And in the meantime, Kyung, let's check out why you're sounding like an alien. Okay, so Seiko-chan, please introduce yourself.
Aloha mai kako. This is Seiko Kaleinani Okamoto. I'm a kumuhula of Namamo Kaleinani in Tokyo. 今日は、とても招待していただいて嬉しく思います。緊張しちゃうかもしれないので、アンさんに、今日は通訳を頼みました。アンさんよろしくお願いします。皆さんもよろしくお願いします。
I'm very happy to be part of this today. When I'm nervous, I can't speak English very well, so I will translate through Anne.
Excellent. Okay, so Kyung, let's try you again. Let's see if we got your audio working.
Hello.
Oh.
Does that sound better?
Much better. Go for it.
Okay, good. Okay, hi. I'm Kyung. I edited Tokyo Hula with Lizette, and I hope you guys enjoyed the film. And I'm looking forward to hearing all the questions.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's start in on the questions. Lizette, I know you have worked on this film for many years. It's up to you if you want to reveal how long it's been. However, what kept you going? And then what was finally the tipping point or the breakthrough where you could see, all my cliches, the light at the end of the tunnel?
There was a light at the end of the tunnel because it was a very long tunnel. I actually started research and development for this film 10 years ago. I'm starting to see pictures on my Facebook feed from, my very first trip to Japan, which is kind of crazy to think about. But it really was my first trip to Japan. So I had a really steep learning curve. And, for me, I think the most difficult thing with this project was funding, right? It was very, very difficult to kind of line up the funding and the stars to kind of be able to continue production and then to go into post and edit, because we had accumulated a lot of footage. But then we'd spend all the money in production to travel to Japan and shoot, and then come back home and have no money to edit. So thanks to Pacific Islanders and Communications for all of your support, we were able to finally complete the film. But it really, for me, the breakthrough in terms of being able to kind of see the film kind of come together was really working with Kyung. As an editor, she came onto the project. I do not speak Japanese, so I had shot a lot of things and had no idea what people were saying in any of the scenes. I was working with other editors who were English speaking, and then we had translators helping us in post-production, but it really slowed the process down. It made it very difficult for me as a director to kind of move at a pace that I felt comfortable with. So working with Kyung was a godsend, because she really has that strong documentary storytelling background as an editor, but also speaks Japanese. So we were able to move at a pace that really sort of helped us through the rough cut stage and got us to a place where we could really submit a strong cut of the film for funding to actually finish the project. So that was really, like, I could see the film finally. It kind of like the story, because with documentary, sometimes you don't know where the story is heading. You have to kind of work with the material for a long time before it kind of takes shape. And so I'm very grateful that Kyung was a terrific collaborator to kind of come on board and help shape the film in the final stages.
I remember how excited you were when you found Kyung. And you're like, I found the editor. Like, Kyung, tell us, how was it when Lizette came and dropped hundreds of hours in your lap and asked you, help me create a story out of this? Is that what happened? Or how did you get started on the project?
Lizette, I don't think you shot like 100.
Oh, we have
there's
the
a weird
same
alien
problem.
sound.
Yeah. What did you do the last time to lose the alien sound?
Oh, I didn't do anything. I mean,
Let's see. Let me try and mute my side, and Lizette, try and mute yours. Let's see if maybe it's bandwidth or something. Okay, Kyung, go ahead.
Okay. Okay, you hear me okay? Or it's my laptop. I'm not sure.
Oh, that is weird that it's going in and out of that sound. Okay, we're gonna wait a little while because that seemed to work last time. We're gonna jump to Seiko, who was with the project, and tell me if I'm wrong, Lizette, since the beginning. Was she? And Seiko, what made you stick with the project and not think this woman isn't gonna ever make a film? I'm sorry, Lizette. I just have so much fun with that.
Now that I'm done, I'm totally fine.
Yeah.
I can take any jokes you guys have. I'm totally cool.
Go ahead, Seiko.
リゼットさんとはこの映画を通じてね、知り合って、本当に素晴らしい女性で、そして、フラという共通の、話題もあったり、そんな感じでずっとこの映画の撮影が終わってからも、ハワイに行ったら、ご飯食べたり、お茶したりするような関係がずっと続いて、そしてついにね、リゼットさんから、映画ができるようになったって言ってくれて、うわーって、ちょっと私も、本当に実現するかがわからないぐらいすごい時間が経ったので、本当にびっくりしたんですけど、映画の中の私はきっとすごい若いから嬉しいって言って喜びました。
Through this film, I had the pleasure of meeting Lizette and come to really get to know her through going out to dinner and throughout the years. And But I was very surprised when I heard that the film was finished, because I wasn't sure if it was going to be finished. But I told her that I was glad that the younger me will be in the film.
Actually, that's really great. Kyung, you want to try now?
Do I sound okay?
No, it still has that buzzing sound. You were saying you wanted to maybe jump back on your phone, but will we still have video of you if you do that?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that. We'll have you jump on and off, and then I'll field questions back to Lizette and Seiko while you do that. Thank you. Okay, so Lizette, let's do the $100,000 question. Why Tokyo Hula? Like, what made you look at, I would say, the phenomena happening in Tokyo with the kumu hula and the halau, and what made you say there's a documentary there?
Right. Well, you know, this is the third film in a trilogy of documentaries about hula and Hawaiian culture. And I feel like from making the first two, you know, with American Aloha Hula Beyond Hawaii, that was really kind of focusing on hula in California and how communities could use hula to remain connected to their Hawaiian culture. And so I was always sort of interested in hula as it is continuing to evolve and yet still kind of maintain connections to tradition and culture here in Hawaii. And I had obviously heard a lot about hula in Japan, and I know a lot of kumu, a lot of musicians. Everyone is always traveling back and forth to Japan. We have strong ties with the island nation of Japan. So I was curious to kind of find out more about the numbers, right? Because I'd heard that just the numbers were continuing to really sort of blossom and get bigger and bigger and bigger. They weren't slowing down or shrinking. They were just kind of getting larger. And because I'd been following stories that I'd heard since like the 90s, late 90s and into the 2000s. And I knew that there was a couple of different waves of interest of hula in Japan. The first wave being in the 80s with a lot of the elderly generation kind of using hula as a way to exercise and stay young and fit, and have been advertised to a certain age bracket there. But there was this new generation of younger people who really interested me, who were very interested in learning more about, you know, Aloha Hawaii and all of the traditions that kind of go along with studying hula and working very closely with kumu hula here in Hawaii. So that was my interest. My point of interest was, okay, who are these younger kumu, and how is the connection between Hawaiian kumu hula and Japanese kumu hula working? And is, like, if I go to Japan, will I see the same kind of hula that I see here in Hawaii? I was curious about that. And for me personally, you know, I had the second film, Nakamale the Men of Hula, with Kumu Robert Casimiro. I had gone on a tour with them, the gents, and a lot of other halau. And I saw a lot of Japanese halau perform for the first time. And I was just blown away by just how technically perfect the hula was. I mean, like, technically, really, really, I mean, just the angles, no one makes a mistake. Everything is in a line. The lines are perfect. The angles are perfect. But something, I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was that seemed different or strange to me. So I was sort of curious to kind of explore what that is. And that curiosity sort of is what really started the whole exploration in the beginning.
Nice. And Seiko, Lizette talks about waves of halau and kumu. Were you, how long have you been kumu? How long have you had your halau? But do you think you're part of that wave before that swell of popularity? I think that's what I'm trying to say, because now it's huge.
私は スタジオを、1998年に開けたので、今、22年目になります。高校の時にハワイ島に、留学していたので、その時に習ったフラというものが忘れられなくて、始めたんですけれども、私がまだ始めた時というのは、どちらかというと日本はまだ高齢者の人たちが、体の健康のために踊る運動という方がすごく根強くって、私が見たフラのカヒコ、古典の踊りだったり、そういうものっていうのはまだあまり日本で見られなかった時に、始めました。そして、私が始めてすぐに、フラガールという映画が日本で、上映されて、そこから、第2のフラブームというのが始まったと思います。そういう意味では、私はちょっとその前に始めたので、そのブームの前に始めたのかなと思ってます。
When I started my studio, it was 1998, so it's now in its 22nd year. When I was in high school, I studied abroad in Hawaii. And when I was in Hawaii, I saw hula dancing. And when I came back and I started hula dancing in Japan, the trend was more of the elderly doing hula dancing for health. And it was a bit different from the traditional dancing that I saw in Hawaii. And in Japan, you couldn't see the traditional style in Japan then. And then once I returned, a movie called Hula Girl was presented, and that seemed to have started the second wave of the hula trend in Japan. And so I think I started a bit before that second wave. So I think I started, I guess, between the first and the second wave of hula dancing in Japan.
That's amazing. And I think we can bring Kyung on. There you are. Hello. Thank you.
Hello.
Seiko.
Yay!
Yay, better. Okay, Kyung, we're going to jump back to your question. That
Sure.
was, how did Lizette come to you with the project?
Yes, I think we met at the Hawaii International Film Festival, Lizette.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe that was 3 years ago, if I remember correctly. I think Lizette had about like maybe 100 hours of footage. It was very interesting to go through all the footage. And the most interesting for me was that when Lizette asks the same question, which is why they like to dance hula, just nobody seems to be able to answer, in a clear way. As we started editing, maybe we try to kind of show that why they like hula so much in Japan, just in the film, because I kind of, to me, it was, I saw that maybe that's the essence of the film. Like they can't say it, but they love it. And that's because, I think they feel good, yes.
Okay, and then Seiko, I'm going to put you on the spot. Why do you love dancing hula?
Mm. やっぱり私は正直、フラを最初に見て、かっこいいって思いました。かっこいいって思ったのは、 古典の方のフラなんですけども、カヒコと言います。カヒコのフラっていうのは打楽器で、イプヘケというひょうたんのような、ひょうたんのようなじゃない、ひょうたんのね、音で鳴らすビートだったり、太鼓のビートだったりで、鳴らす音がもうとにかく魅力的で、そのビートに乗って踊るフラ、古典のフラっていうのが、本当にこう心に、突き刺さって、そこからこう、好きになってしまいました。太鼓っていうのは日本の文化にもあって、何か共通するものが、すごく感じられたなというふうに思います。そして、やっぱり皆さんが不思議に思われる、なんで日本人がハワイのフラが好きなのっていう、質問には、私は、まずは日本人ハワイが大好きで、本当に日本に一番近い楽園として、何十年もハワイは愛されていますし、そしてそのハワイに、到着した時に感じる、甘い花の香りだったり、人々の温かさだったり、その中にフラっていうものがあって、ハワイに行った人は一度はフラを見ている。すべて環境が整った中で、見ているフラっていうのは本当に私たちを幸せにしてくれるので、なんでフラが好きなのって言われても答えられないんですけど、そこから入ってるんじゃないかなというふうに思います。お願いします。
Hi. To tell you the truth, when I saw Hula for the first time, I thought it was very cool. And the kind of hula dancing I saw was the traditional hula dancing called kahiko. And it has a percussive element with drumming, and really stuck to my heart. And drum culture is also present in Japan, so perhaps there is some kind of connection there. And everybody's, here is asking why Japanese love the hula. But I think it's because Japanese love Hawaii, going to Hawaii. It's the most close paradise to Japan. And when they arrive, things like the sweet aroma of the flower or the warmth of the people, that equates to the hula, and that which gives you happiness. And I think that might be why people are so attracted to hula dancing in Japan.
That's an amazing answer. Thank you. We're going to jump to audience questions. And this one is from Brad. Such a beautiful film. Besides funding, what were some of the other major obstacles you had in making your film? So this is going to go to Lizette, of course.
Sure. Thank you very much, Brad. Well, I think in addition to funding, which I'm sure every filmmaker says is like the number one challenge, especially if you're an independent person, I had never made an international production. So this was my first time really sort of producing and directing something overseas in a different country. So I felt like, when I was doing interviews, I think for me personally, like Seiko is amazing. She actually speaks great English. She said she gets nervous and so she likes the translator, but it's very difficult when you're interviewing in a documentary situation. If you have to ask a question and then it's translated and then someone answers in Japanese and there's translation, and the translation oftentimes that was given to me, I had a hard time understanding. It was a lot like that Sofia Coppola movie, Lost in Translation. I hate to be stereotypical, but so there were a lot of things that I just had to kind of just hope and pray that I got while we were actually shooting in Japan. I didn't actually really know until we were in the edit room whether or not, things were communicated in a way that I had hoped. So language was obviously a very big hurdle for me. It was a challenge for me because I wasn't in my comfort zone with being able to communicate on set, even with subjects. And, culturally, I think too, like a lot of the signals that, in Japan, Japanese culture is so very different from, culture here in Hawaii, that I mean, just I felt like so strange smiling. Like I'd like to smile, right? Like and walking down the street, kind of smiling, saying hi to people. You don't do that, right? You know, look at you like you're crazy. So there was, it was sort of interesting for me to be trying to make a film in this very different atmosphere and country. And I was super lucky. I have a very tiny crew. I like to work with very small crews, and I'd worked with them previously on the film One Voice, which Pacific Islanders and Communications executive produced. It was just a DP, a sound person, and a translator, and myself. So the four of us literally were on trains and subways. We didn't have money to rent cars or anything, dragging equipment all over Tokyo when it was hot. Oh my God. And we just made it work, and it was a lot of fun, but it was really challenging. I'm sure my crew would have loved if I had splurged on some cabs in Tokyo, but those are kind of too expensive for us. So we were just on the subway like everybody else.
That's amazing that you just made it work. And I can imagine, you know, when you do an interview and you're like, that's it. Okay, that's a wrap. We got it. You don't know when to end, right?
You're like, I hope I got it. And you know, there's not the same cues, right? Like you're not, it's like a different interaction. You don't have the same things to feed off of when you're having that kind of intimate conversation in an interview.
Right. Well, you did a good job. You brought up smiling, and one of my favorite parts in the film is the smile class. Did that make the final cut? I've watched so many cuts of it.
Yes, it did. It did. Of course it did. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, it just was a great moment to bring you back to realizing, although we share a love in Hawaii and Hawaiian music and drums, when I hear the taiko drum, I just feel that in my heart. You know, it's this primal type of connection. That smiling part reminded me that even though we have so many similarities, there are differences, and it was great that they're trying to overcome the differences. So I love that. Lizette, is there anything that you want to ask of Kian or Seiko, or anything you want them to bring up?
Let's see. Seiko, how are things with Hula in Japan right now? Are you guys having in-person classes? You know, here in Hawaii, we're still on Zoom because of the pandemic. So how has the pandemic affected Hula in Japan?
日本の中でも東京が一番感染者が多くって、東京は2ヶ月間、すべていろんなことが閉まってたんですけれども、今は東京はもうすべてほとんど元通りになってると言っても過言じゃないぐらい、不思議なぐらいいろんなものが動いています。レッスン、フラのレッスンも6月からもうずっとやっていまして、ただ、遠くから来られている人、新幹線に乗ってくる人もいらっしゃるので、そういう方たちは、ズームを通じて、レッスンをしています。そして、この10年ぐらい、本当に毎週1人ぐらいフラを、ハワイアンの音楽だったり、フラダンサーだったりっていう感じでハワイの人がいろんなイベントに来られてたんですけれども、今はパタッともちろん、来られなくなってしまって、とても今は日本のフラの、状況は静かなんですが、でもそれでもやっぱり、フラっていうものがあって、この COVID-19 を、みんなでこう乗り切ることができたなという実感があって、フラがあって、心と体の、癒しがすごくできたなと思っているので続けたいなという気持ちはみんな持ってます。そして少しずつイベントの方も、再開しつつあって、例えば1000人のコンサートホールは、500人、半分に減ってしまっていますけれども、徐々に、そういうコンサート、イベントも元に戻りつつありますので、あとはハワイの人たちがまた日本に戻ってきてくれる日にちを待つばかりです。お願いします。すいません、長くて。
Yeah. And in Japan, Tokyo was the most infected with COVID, but things are really back to normal. It's a bit strange that it's so normal. But studios, hula dancing studios have resumed since June. But only people from who commute from a long distance keep taking lessons over video. Every year there's been a festival for hula dancing, and many people come to that. But this year, nobody came, and it felt. But it does feel like we are overcoming the COVID little by little. As we resume activities with hula dancing. The concert hall attendance has gone down from 1,000 to 500, but that is also gradually coming back. So it does feel like I was glad to be part of the hula community and to overcome the COVID this year.
Thank you. I just got the word from the amazing PAF staff that we're going to have to wrap it up. So really quickly, I'm going to eke out 2 more questions. And one is, it's the same question to both Kiyoung and Lizette. What is next? What's coming from you next? So Kiyoung, do you want to go first?
Sure. Do I sound okay?
You
You sound great.
Okay, good. I have been editing a few projects for other filmmakers, but I also make my own films. And I have been making this film about the homelessness issue, specifically in Oakland, California. And I kind of forged relationships with people who are unsheltered, and I provided them media training and also cell phones so they can record their living situations by themselves. So I'm collecting the footage from them every week, and when I interact with them, they always tell me that what they're looking for is a job. So I'm kind of hiring them as their field reporters. So that my project is to somehow make a film out of the footage, and that's what I'm working on right now.
Awesome. I am taking a break from making documentaries about hula. Now that I've finished the trilogy, but I'm working on the PBS cut down of Tokyo Hula because I'm really hoping to share it on public television next year with the help of Pacific Islands and Communications. So that is my big focus right now. And for the next project, I'm not sure, but I am letting things percolate in my brain, and we'll see. I'm hoping that things are brighter in 2021.
Excellent. We have a Pacific Islanders and Communications has a series called Pacific Heartbeat. It airs nationally on public television. It'll be our 10th season next year, and Tokyo Hula will be part of that 10th season celebration. Woo-hoo. But yeah, so if you haven't seen Tokyo Hula yet, please go. If you have, you know how wonderful it is. See it again. Aloha. Thank you.
Ahui ho.
Ahui ho, thank you.
You say this kill, black and brown, and when will you talk about class in this story? The rest is allegory. Come together, unionize, see it through each other's eyes. No need to fight over supplies while workers save lives. They need protection.
has a way through. And for those behind bars, we must fight hard. Global pandemic, endemic, systemic. No equality, no quality of life.